ShopGearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Gear Network presents the
Not Just
Football Talk Weekly Podcast with John Cimino and Brandon Gorell. And now, here's John.
Oh, yes. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Not Just Football Talk Weekly Podcast. We are back again in our Football Talk Weekly off-season, if you will. Brandon, Penguins did not blow a 3-1.
No, they did not.
I was afraid that might happen. We'll talk about it a little bit. Hello, everyone. My name is John Cimino at the JC Money on the Twitter. And, of course, as I just mentioned there, I am joined by Mr. Brandon Gorell. Say hello.
Hello.
That's you. Yes.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Sorry, I'm getting used to these headphone things.
Okay, it's all right.
I hear all this music going on in my ears, and I'm like, what?
Well, I'll start to lower it down as I go ahead and say that this podcast, as always, is sponsored by ShopGear.com. We are dangerously close to Mother's Day, folks. Dangerously. Close. Did you get your mama something?
Nope.
I didn't get my mom anything either.
I plan to tomorrow,
but I will. And I will use ShopGear.com to do that. The easiest way to support the podcast and the network. All right, Brandon, it has been a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And, off-season is what it is. It's not...
NHL playoffs is screwing with everyone's schedule anyways. We were going to record yesterday, but they had a Game 7 that I didn't plan on having a week ago. And then it just happened that way. So,
now that we've
fortunately, looks like it's not going to land on any more podcast days, so
you're right, quite possibly.
Should be good.
Now let me just say this: I have to test this out here because
yes.
There's been some echoing and stuff like that. Now we got different software now. We have the headphones, as you mentioned. So I just want to
Jesus.
No, I heard that.
You heard that?
I heard that.
I'm going to test. I'm going to guess that when we go and review this portion of it, it will not echo, and that will be amazing.
Yeah,
all right.
That's great.
Since the last podcast, the NFL draft happened, and we will begin there. And in the NFL draft, by the end of it, Brandon, the winners were definitely the Cleveland Browns. They did very well.
Yeah, they did really well.
I feel. The loser and new Cleveland Browns is the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, being that you are a Green Bay Packer fan, I have to ask you, I'm sure you were in your glory when you found out that they traded their first-round pick, the farm, to move up one spot.
Mike Ditka sweater.
To get Mitchell Trubisky, number 2, when... In all reality, they probably could have had him because Solomon Thomas went next to the 49ers, which was who they were eyeing anyways.
Right.
As a Packers fan, I could only imagine something like that would be equivalent to if you're a Patriots fan and you see the Buffalo Bills doing something really stupid.
Yeah. It's like they're already handicapped as it is, and they just made it even worse. I mean, maybe they got they got a hold of this guy's Twitter feed, and they were like, "I love to kiss titties. Me too. Let's draft this guy.
Well, if they
do whatever it takes."
If they would have went farther back, they would have seen "Let's go Packers." So,
well, you know what? They know.
Yeah. Well,
you just can't help it.
It's. I will tell you that was one of the
Yeah, it was really. I mean, that was Washington Redskin-esque. But the person they're picking up is not have the potential that Robert Griffin did. Robert Griffin got ruined by injury. He was playing pretty well until he got hurt, and then when he got hurt, he just never could recover again.
Right.
So at least they were making a little more sound investment. They the potential was there, and at first it looked like that trade was going to work out for them, and then he got torn up and never was the same again.
No.
But Mitchell Trubisky, oof.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to go. I thought he would go.
I mean, he's a 1-year starter in college. He was a baseball player, basically.
Right. So, yeah, that's.
I mean, if you hit a home run with this, cool. But if you don't, that's a mighty big matzo ball hanging out there.
CBS Sports gave them a grade of D for that.
D. Gave him the D.
Myles Garrett out of Texas A&M, the defensive end, went number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. I think that's a very, very good pick for them. And, given their draft and how they, moved around and did what they did, I do think that the Cleveland Browns are on the right.
I think Myles Garrett's a generational defensive talent. Mm-hmm. So, that was a no-brainer. If they would have blown that and not picked him and picked Deshaun Watson or something stupid like that, then they would have definitely blown that draft and been the Browns, and everyone would have forgot about what the Bears just did at number 2. Mm-hmm. But they made the right call there, and made more moves in the draft, and
definitely,
really, really did well for themselves. It's kind of ironic that they traded for the Packers' first round pick at the end of the first round for their beginning of the second round pick, with the Packers leaking that they possibly might draft Deshaun Kaiser. And then didn't. They were just trying to get more picks out of it. Didn't. No one took the bait. And then the Browns still ended up getting him anyways. Which was kind of cool, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
I'd like to see the Browns do something.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it either, as long as it's not at the expense of the
Jets.
Push
the Bengals into the basement.
Yeah, well, considering the Bengals drafted Joe Mixon, they're already there. But
it's just another one of those Marvin Lewis projects where he'll teach him how to be a good, upstanding citizen, and then
they'll get kicked out of the first round of playoffs again, like they usually do, if they even make it. So, Leonard Fournette, the running back out of LSU, to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 4.
It's a good pick, but they got a pretty crowded backfield.
Love the pick.
Yeah.
So high, though?
Yeah, because the first team that's going to draft a running back is going to take him. So Jacksonville wasn't going to get another crack at it. That's the guy they really wanted. Mm-hmm. They really wanted to improve their run game. In hopes that maybe it'll take a little pressure off Blake Bortles. Because when the pressure's off Blake Bortles, he's great.
Yeah.
When they're down 30 points, he's amazing.
Kind of.
No, he's amazing when they're down 30 points because they just chuck it all over the yard because they know they're not going to catch up and win. Right. So, but when the games are tight, that's when he starts throwing, 2-yard divots and, picks and just overall just badness.
Bonehead moves there. Corey Davis out of Western Michigan, drafted at number 5 to the Tennessee Titans.
Good pick.
Helps out Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
And they are, Tennessee's a team that's
on the rise.
They're on the rise.
Yep.
I will say, I think, and when I get down to it, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a team to watch.
They are going to be a force this year. Atlanta, I wouldn't count your chickens yet.
Sorry, Dirty Birds. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of dancing the Julio going around this season. But
you did blow a 28-3 lead.
You did.
And I don't think you're going to get the opportunity to do it again.
Yeah, Tampa,
for a while. Tampa looks strong.
Tampa drafted, I'll just go ahead since I was already there, drafted O.J. Howard, the tight end. He was projected to be in the top 10, and he fell all the way to 19, and Tampa grabbed him, which is a real good get.
That's a Packers-type move. The Packers, they draft the best available player, maybe not their biggest need, but they'll grab the best available player, and he was the best available on that side of the ball, because their defense is pretty young and developing, too.
A guy I fell in love with almost immediately after being drafted, Jamal
Your reflection?
Adams. Jamal Adams. Yes, I pulled an A-Rod and kissed myself in the hair. I want to kiss myself. I'm so pretty. Jamal Adams, the safety out of LSU, went number 6.
Yeah.
Very, very well could have gone higher. Jets get a draft grade of B for that one.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, I like the players that the Jets drafted.
Mm-hmm.
This year they went after character people,
they didn't blow it this year.
People that are that are team oriented, that want to play for the team.
Yeah.
And Jamal Adams really led that. With some of the things that he was saying earlier on, he was just I'm grateful to be here. My father got drafted by the Giants, so to be, same city, different team.
Yeah.
I think he's wearing the same number as his father. So that's pretty cool. So I like the guy. I like the direction that they are headed in, and while I don't expect them to win more than 4 or 5 games,
and with that said, I can't wait to see the next draft crop of guys that they get
when they
around the 5 or 6 slot
when
again.
They are drafting number 2 overall.
But I don't know. The Bears might might take that 2 spot.
We'll take the 1 spot.
Oh, no. They're not ready for that yet.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm saying
they still get to play the Vikings and Lions.
Oh, that's true. The hell with the Vikings. Mike Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson, goes number 7 to the Los Angeles Chargers.
That's a big get.
I think so.
Because they have good receivers, but they got injured. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to add that extra weapon to the returning weapons that they have. And Rivers got some guys that chuck that ball around too.
Yes, he does.
And their defensive side is improving.
That offensive line can hold up. They'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, that's the key though. With all those guys, man, they keep. I mean, their training staff's got to do something because they need some vitamins and some milk, something because they're all injured.
Malk, who knows?
Malk.
Christian McCaffrey, the running back out of Stanford, goes number 8 to Carolina.
Yeah, it could be a good get for them. Depends on, whether he can hold up in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Oh, that combine, I still can't get over the fact I couldn't do more than like 2 reps on the bench.
Yep. John Ross, wide receiver out of Washington. The Bengals picked him. I liked that pick.
Yeah.
It was a good pick for him. And, you top him and his speed off with A.J. Green on the other side. Yeah. Now A.J. Green's not doing as much, so they're not going to double him up. Yeah, I think that's a good move for him.
Right.
But again, their second-round pick.
Well.
Yeah, whatever.
Well.
At number 10, the Buffalo Bills traded with the Kansas City Chiefs, which was a brilliant move on the Bills' part.
Yeah, because there wasn't anybody really of value for them yet.
The Chiefs trade up to number 10 and take Patrick Mahomes III. Is that
Mahomes?
Yeah. Mahomes, whatever.
Mahomes.
Sound like Steve Austin there.
Mahomes.
I'll tell you something about Patrick Mahomes. Quarterback out of Texas Tech. He is the heir apparent to Alex Smith now. And good move, bad move?
I don't think that's a very good move. Again, another guy that is a project at quarterback. If anybody can turn somebody around like that, it is Andy Reid. I mean, he's kind of like the quarterback whisperer. Mm-hmm. So, I think he'll have a chance to develop. I don't think he's going to come in and compete to start anyways. I don't think this was a draft for now thing. I think this is a draft for later. Mm-hmm. And they saw enough in Mahomes. I'm calling him Mahomes now. Thanks a lot. Mahomes. They saw enough in him to think that this is worth this pick and investment. Now they really didn't give Buffalo that much to get it.
Buffalo's got 2 number 1s now next year.
Yeah, they got 2 number 1s next year, but Kansas City's going to make the playoffs most likely. So their number 1 that they're giving up is a high number 1. True. So they'll probably find a way to trade either back into the first round or they'll, get 2 real early second round picks. I don't really see that as a big problem for them. But yeah, I don't know. It's a big risk. If it's swing and a miss, you really didn't lose that much. Mm-hmm. But if you swing and hit it out of the park with the kid, the only thing I worry about is he played in that Texas A&M system, and that's where Johnny McGoober came from, and played in the same system. And yeah, I don't know.
I would like to give Mahomes a little more.
Mahomes,
whatever. I would like to believe that he is a better character.
Yeah, he's a better character
and a better football.
I'm sure he is.
Johnny idiot faces, but
yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore, the cornerback, best corner in the draft. He was rated out of Ohio State, goes to New Orleans.
Yep. Which is fine. They're gonna have one receiver that can get covered, and that's about it.
Pretty much.
They're still freaking terrible.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson goes to the Texans at number 12.
That was a big move by Houston.
Yes.
Houston traded up to get that, got that move, picked Watson.
And said flat out, he's in a quarterback competition.
Yeah.
He could very well start.
I mean, Savage, Tom Savage. Are we really that enamored with Tom Savage?
I almost said Brock Osweiler, but he's a Brown right now.
He's in Cleveland. He's going to compete with Kaiser.
All right, so I said the Bears number 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stick to that. That's my real... I'm going to stick to that. Browns probably be number 2.
Yeah. I don't know.
It'll be a tough number 2.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough number 2. I don't think it's a guaranteed 2. There's going to be some bad teams out there.
Jets. Them are the Jets.
Jets are going to be really bad.
Jets are going to be bad. And I'm predicting it. As much as I like Big Mo Wilkerson, he was like, we're going to win more than 6 games this year. And I'm thinking, shut up, Mo.
I also think New Orleans is going to be pretty bad, too.
They probably should be, because Drew Brees is getting at the end. He's at the end of the road, and Adrian Peterson is just there for a name. He's not going to really do anything.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Skipping down here, Malik Hooker.
Yeah.
Number 15 goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Malik Hooker out of Brandon, the Ohio State.
Yes.
Ohio State still sucks.
Thanks, Jim.
As we said before, O.J. Howard, big name out of Alabama, tight end to the Tampa Bay. I almost wanted to say Devil Rays because I'm still in baseball mode.
You're in baseball mode.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's move over to my wife, Dawn's Dolphins. Charles Harris, defensive end out of Missouri. To the Dolphins. Cleveland trades back into round 1, gets Jabril Peppers, the safety out of Michigan.
Yep.
They got graded an F for that one.
Who did? The Browns?
The Browns.
Yeah, why? Because he had a diluted sample? Jabril Peppers is going to be a good player.
No clue.
So, F them.
On number 27, the Buffalo Bills picked Tre'Davious White, cornerback out of LSU.
All right.
And... here we go. The Pittsburgh Steelers select T.J. Watt, brother of J.J. Watt.
Yes.
Number 30, offensive linebacker out of Wisconsin. That's some of the big names from...
let's talk about Green Bay's pick, too. Kevin King.
Green Bay, that's...
Also probably one of the most athletic and has the best ability in this draft to be a game breaker.
They were not
in the secondary.
They were not in the first round, but they were...
They're in the second round. They're the first pick of the second
33. Round. Kevin King, cornerback out of Washington. Yeah. The grade that they gave them was an A+.
Yeah. Usually we do first round and then we just move on. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about some, a guy here, a guy there.
The Jets at 39 sent a message to Calvin Pryor.
Yep.
When they drafted Marcus May, safety out of Florida, with their second round pick. So their first 2 rounds, they both went safety.
Yes.
You're expendable, buddy. So there's that. Dalvin Cook, the running back out of Florida State, is Adrian Peterson's replacement in Minnesota. Let's see. Here we go. Number 48 in round 2. The Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Mixon, running back out of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Now, there is no denying that this guy has football talent. But the big but in this is that video that came out of him hitting a girl. And quite honestly, you've seen a lot in this day and age. Nothing should really surprise you anymore. But when I saw it, I was honestly disgusted. With the video that I saw. I mean, it was a straight up reach way back, ball up your fist, reach way back, and assert yourself.
Yeah.
Hit on a girl.
Yeah.
And ESPN, of course, showed it over and over and over and over.
Oh, of course.
And it made me hate him that much more. And I know and I understand,
well, at least the Jets didn't draft him.
I'm very glad that the Jets did not draft him.
Because that would have been a tough one to swallow.
I probably would have. I would have been very, very mad.
You would have wrote a strong-worded letter.
That's right.
And then forgot all about it.
I would have had a very, very loud 145 characters on Twitter.
And then he has a good first season, and then season 2, John has a Chinese version of his jersey. Probably in the Titans version.
Yeah.
New York Titans.
Yeah, right. Deshaun Kaiser, quarterback out of Notre Dame, goes to Cleveland at the 52nd pick.
Pretty good pickup.
I think it's a good pickup. Josh Jones, the safety out of North Carolina State, pick number 61 to the Packers.
Yep.
What do you think there?
That's a good pick. Because, I mean, they got Martellus Bennett. They let Jared Cook go because they got Martellus Bennett, who's probably the second best tight end in the league. And, you know, now they're going to have somebody to complement him on the other side. And that's what Rodgers has been missing. Ever since Jermichael Finley went down, he's not had that go-to guy. He had Jared Cook this year, but very limitedly because of the injuries. So it's been a long time since he's had two good, healthy tight ends. It used to be Finley and Rodgers. Now he's going to have, you know, Bennett and this new cat, possibly Rodgers too, you know, swapping in and out on special packages. So that's going to only help out their game.
All right. And we're going to skip through the rest because we actually, believe it or not, we have hit the 20-minute mark right now. Just talking the first two rounds.
Just talking the draft.
So I'm going to skip.
This is why fucking football rules America, because you could just sit here and talk about dumb shit, and it's like, wow, 20 minutes just went by.
Well, hey, you know what? We could pick a page out of CBS's book and do our way too early 2018 mock drafts.
God. No.
I can't.
No.
I can't say that. But, Brandon, I will ask you this.
Yes.
Pick number 253. Mr. Irrelevant.
Yes.
With the 253rd pick, the Denver Broncos select Chad Kelly, quarterback, Ole Miss.
Yeah, poor Chad Kelly.
John Elway does his boy Jim Kelly a solid, and drafts his nephew.
Yeah.
Give him a grade of B+.
That poor cat, though, he was getting trolled constantly by Mia Kafia on Instagram. And then he goes in the last pick of the draft. At least he didn't have to, like, not get drafted. She would have had a field day with that.
Yeah, so...
Oh, Spurs are whipping the Houston Rockets' ass even without Mr. Kawhi Leonard.
Oh?
Yeah, he was out tonight with the ankle injury.
Okay.
He dinged up. There's been so many great memes and videos of Manu Ginobili blocking that shot.
Yes.
And one where Harden, like, flies into space and comes out of a whale and... It's pretty amazing.
I still think that my favorite meme of these playoffs so far is the Steph Curry with what's his face from the Utah Jazz, the center.
When Rudy Gobert.
When he crossed over and he did the little dance, and then they played Shining Star behind it, or Shooting Star behind it, and they kept making him dance, and you see Julia Louis-Dreyfus in there and all that stuff. That one was my favorite one.
I also enjoyed the one where they said the NBA playoffs is basically this, and it just had like one guy street fighting against like 6 different guys, and it's like all the Warriors, and it's against LeBron James, and he's just like beating the crap out of everybody in Golden State. It's pretty great.
Well, I'll tell you, the NBA playoffs have not nearly been as exciting as the NHL playoffs, and if you don't believe me, ask Charles Barkley himself, who said it on NBA on TNT. So... Yes, but we'll go ahead. We'll cut it off right there. We'll go into our halftime, take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we can talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, up to and including, Brandon, the Penguins not blowing a 3-1 lead.
Yeah!
This is the Not Just Football Talk Weekly podcast on the Gear Radio Network.
Jesus! Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're looking to support this podcast and this network, visit shopgear.com. That's shopgere.com. It will take you right to amazon.com, to your Amazon account, and you can do all of your Amazon shopping. The difference is using our link versus going to Amazon's link is that you are telling Amazon that Gear Network referred you, and they end up giving us a small percentage of your purchase, which helps out this program and this network entirely. And of course, if Amazon's not your thing, it's understandable. On gearnetwork.com, G-E-R-E network.com, if you click on the top bar that says donate to Gear, there's several different PayPal buttons. You can donate to us as well if Amazon isn't your thing. Your support is vital to helping the Gear Network maintain this programming, this quality programming, and continuing our growth through the year. As always, thank you very much for your support and your listens and your downloads and your likes and your shares from all of us here at the Gear Radio Network. You know, I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC,
where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I want to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com, and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to Indie Card Media Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCardMedia. Do it now. Bring your designs to life.
You're walking in here looking all pretty and angry and mean and good. I know you didn't get your hair done, so you can just sit down and just sit still.
Hey, we trying to have a good time tonight. Let's go. Come on, baby, I love you. No, you don't. You never know.
Love Bruno Mars.
Can't say I won't.
Dope.
Still want to get to that show this summer.
I would love to go. I would love to go. I don't think it's happening, but
it's pricey.
That's what I want to do. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on the Not Just Football Talk Weekly podcast. And figure a little Bruno Mars might wake you up after that, all that draft talk. But Brandon, you had a update on the Spurs and...
Oh, yeah. End of 3. Spurs are up 23 in an elimination game without Kawhi Leonard, their best player.
That's crazy.
Another, a tribute to
Coach Pop.
Craig Popovich. The guy's ridiculous.
Great. Honestly, one of the greatest coaches ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Quite honestly.
He's like in Belichick territory.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Just the model of consistency for so long. And when people thought, well, Duncan's retired, how's he going to do? Nope.
Right.
Doing just fine. So, kudos to Coach Pop and the San.
They could have went down last round when Tony Parker went and blew out his knee too, and then they got no Kawhi Leonard tonight, and they're out there with Paul Gasol, Patty Mills.
Paul Gasol is one.
Derek Murray, LaMarcus Aldridge. Aldridge is having a huge game. He's got 28 points today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
James Harden, on the other hand, not having a huge game. He's 10 points in 29 minutes. That's just not going to get it done.
Poor James Harden. All right. You know what, Brandon? Let's talk about your Pittsburgh Penguins.
Let's
talk about how the Penguins did not blow a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, they almost did.
Tomorrow is the next round or something.
For the Western Conference, the Pens start on Saturday.
They start on Saturday.
Which I have a prior engagement that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of.
Well, I'll watch for you. Although I'm sure you'll have your
TV.
Yeah,
I could just put it on and
that's good.
Pretend I'm having
the Penguins are going to be playing the Ottawa Senators in the conference finals. But before they did, they went to Game 7 with the Washington Capitals, and they won 2-0 behind Marc-Andre Fleury and his 29 saves.
Yes, sir.
And then,
he's kind of saved our ass.
I just kind of took
goals
a look
from Brian Rust.
I saw him stroking the stick again right there. So that my attention went that way. So
got a goal, another big goal from Brian Rust. The guy just ever since he stepped into the playoffs last year, has just done nothing but score big goals. Now he's got 7 goals now in elimination games. Actually, 9 goals. Sorry, 9 goals in elimination games. Whether they're going to be eliminated or they're about to eliminate somebody else, including that game against San Jose when they won the Cup. He scored both goals. They really do well drafting. They find good guys. I hope it wasn't all based off of Bottarelli because he just went to Buffalo as their GM.
I did. I was going to actually talk about that a little bit later.
We can talk about that later. But guys like Gensel, Sheary, Rust, Wilson, those guys coming up and playing, a strong game and just fitting right in and just, Coach Sullivan just says, hey, go out there and do it, and they do it. He threw Matt Murray in there last year, rookie goaltender, and says, hey, make a run at the Cup for us, and he did. Sullivan's a great coach, and he got those boys ready to play after that, drubbing that they took in Game 6. I mean, they looked listless. You know, they were tired. They just were not able to get the puck out of the zone. Last night, they looked like they did last year. They were dominant. They took the pace, controlled the game, you know, dump and chase, took calculated risks. They were just a better team last night in Washington. I mean, some of the big guys like Ovechkin got flattened last night. He was on the goal for both. And actually, one direct turnover, and then the hit that he took from Dumoulin started the break the other way with the Russ goal. Evgeny Kuznetsov, the guy who's, you know, flapping his arms like a bird, thinking that they're gonna, you know, coast in, and he was laughing and having a good old time. And you know, he I didn't even know he was playing yesterday. I didn't hear his name once. I did hear after the game 6, the Caps were hooting and hollering, and they were pretty loud and saying some pretty ridiculous things, and, you know, word got around to Pittsburgh that,
almost
you know,
seems like par for the course with them.
Yeah, they you know, celebrated like it was the next round already, and they still had one game to play.
When you get your ass kicked every year, you know what I mean? It's kind of like hey, the House just approved the repeal and replace Obamacare. Yeah, beers for everybody. You still got to go to the Senate. So, you know, kind of
mission accomplished.
Kind of, sort of.
Put up the banner on the aircraft carrier.
Exactly that. So, some statistical comparisons here for ye. Yes. Total shots. The Capitals had 29 to Pittsburgh's 28. Yep. Penalties and minutes were even at 9 apiece. Yep. Washington had 32.
Yeah, it was a fight in that game.
Yeah.
A rare fight in the playoffs.
Washington had 32 hits as compared to Pittsburgh's 29 hits.
Yeah, that was
10
par for the series.
They had 10 giveaways. Washington did. Pittsburgh had 9. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh had 12 takeaways.
Yes.
So playing some solid defense there.
Yeah.
Although Washington not far behind as well. They had 11. Yep. And here's a big difference here as far as statistical comparisons go.
Yep.
Not that it really mattered in the end, but 36 face-offs won by Washington to 23 for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you look at it at the statistical comparison, it seemed pretty even, but
the series was not, though.
2-0.
If you look at the series, Washington carried the play the entire series. The reason Pittsburgh is in the position that they're in is because of Marc-Andre Fleury. Hands down. I mean, Pittsburgh was outshot heavily, I think by like 116 shots for the series. But Fleury held them together, where Holtby did not. It was a big redemption for Fleury. And, you know, everybody loves the guy. He's always having fun, and he's, you know, joking and saying crazy stuff.
Off the stick.
They were saying, like, I was listening to an interview with a guy, and he was like, you know, he gets really into it, and he has a lot of fun, and he makes a big save, and he's like, I stack the pads. And he's like, you know, he just acts like a total knucklehead out there because he keeps loose, and he doesn't let, you know, goals bother him, and then that's where you start to avalanche. I think that's what he had happen a few years ago when he just kind of got the yips, it seems like. But he got it together, and, you know, he's having a redemption season with Matt Murray going down in the first game in warm-ups against Columbus. Even Brooks Orpik, who now plays for the Washington Capitals, but played many years with Pittsburgh and with Fleury and won a cup with Fleury. And, you know, he said after the game last night, he's like, you know, if anyone was going to have a good game and good series in that series, I was just really glad it was him, because, you know, everybody loved that guy. And he's a great teammate. I mean, he has, you know, pictures and names of all his favorite, you know, teammates. They may not have been in stars or whatever, on his helmet, you know, because he did it for the Stadium Series, because he thought soon after the Stadium Series was the trade deadline and he was going to get dealt. And he didn't. And it was kind of funny. Niskanen was on that helmet. And after the hit on Crosby, he took yellow tape and he covered Niskanen's name up. And they asked him about it. He just kind of laughed it off, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
So it was a good series. If you're a Washington Capital fan, I find it hard to feel sorry for you. You guys are the biggest bandwagoners ever. And on top of that, you guys are big babies. I just saw a video with a guy just bitching up a storm on the sidewalk, walking away from the Capitals game, and his friends egging him on. And then his woman's running by with a Crosby jersey on, and he just slams her into a wall. knocks the woman onto the ground and says, "I didn't hit her. I just walked through her. Shouldn't be so goddamn happy."
Sir, I hope you are listening. You are a piece of shit.
Yeah. I doubt he's listening because all he listens to DC sports and strokes his tiny carrot.
I'm going to hashtag capitals and all sorts of stuff. See if I can get it. I want him to listen so that way I can tell you right here, you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Their fans, they love to rock the red, but as soon as they lose, they're all like calling talk radio. And they've got a wheel of excuses. It's, the NHL favors the Penguins. Ted Leonsis doesn't really want to win. He just wants to get jersey money. Ovechkin doesn't have it. He needs to be traded, blow up the team, fire the coach. Every single season that they lose, they do this every year. But then opening night, they're right back there wearing their red jerseys, screaming real loud, enjoying their regular season, getting their President's Trophy,
selling out their games,
only to lose again in the second round.
Washington.
I feel kind of bad for Ovechkin. He's kind of toned it down over the last few years. It is tough to watch somebody that good never really get anywhere. It reminds me of like Agassi during the Sampras era. Or Roddick during the Federer era. There's just one player that's better than everybody, and you just cannot get past that player no matter what you do. And that's the nemesis has been the Pittsburgh Penguins. Actually, the nemesis has been second round, but Pittsburgh's knocked him out of 3 of those second rounds in the 12 years that he's been there.
Right.
So they've struggled. I can't put it all on him. I mean, Holtby didn't play very well either. But they just nobody showed up. Nobody showed up.
Ovechkin did play injured that last game.
Yeah, he's been injured the whole series.
He was put on the third line in the last game.
Right.
And
he'd been a few times during the series.
He
was off the Backstrom line.
And he is not going to be playing in the World Championships.
Yeah, for Russia.
For Mother Russia.
Yeah, no, he got hurt from that hit from Nazem Kadri in the first round against Toronto. And he was gone for a few minutes in the locker room, and he came back out and he grinded through it and stuff. He wasn't making excuses. It's legit. He was hurt. But no one was talking about how hurt he was when he was scoring goals during the series and flying up and down the ice. He didn't look any worse for the wear that last game. He just did Ovi things. They showed him spotlighted. This happens on a number of occasions. If he's not getting a lot of shots on goal, he's very disengaged in the game. And last night he didn't do it. And on the Russ goal, Brian Russ was his guy. He tried to get this pass that came from Shattenkirk up the wall. It went off his stick. Didn't really give it a big effort. It kept back in the zone, and he kind of just stood there, and he's kind of just slowly glided towards Rust. And at the last second, he sees, oh shit, Rust is heading towards the net, and he's going to probably get a shot on goal. And he tries with a desperation, lunge and then, slash, but it was too late. I mean, Rust already buried the goal. That happens a lot with Ovechkin. He gets complacent, and he kind of drifts on the ice, and he just kind of cheats and waits for the puck to start to head the other end so he can go taking off, and he kind of conserves it on defense. Sometimes he dogs it. Other times he doesn't. When he's engaged, he'll be hitting people, he'll be running all over the place. When he's not, like he was last night, he's just going to float, and he's going to become a liability out there.
Yeah, so with that, the Penguins...
Another season, we'll get them next year, boys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Washington.
You have to wonder how many more of those you have.
Couldn't happen to the second shittiest franchise in the league.
The
now
Penguins
I'm talking to
and
you,
the Senators
Philadelphia.
Are going to be playing in the Eastern Conference.
It's going to be a good series.
And then on the Western Conference, we're going to have the Anaheim Ducks and the Nashville Predators.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, if it works out the way it's going to work out, or at least everyone's picking it to work out and the way I think it's going to work out, a Nashville-Pittsburgh series is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
You think it'll be Nashville-Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Nashville.
I hope it's Nashville because I hate Anaheim.
Yeah, Nashville's quick.
So
Nashville's quick. I think that you're going to see a lot of fast hockey watching Pittsburgh versus Nashville. And it'll come down to probably goaltending and the Stars.
All right.
Which I'm hoping that'll be Pittsburgh.
Very good, very good. Bringing it to a more local scene here.
Yes.
The Sabres organization hires Jason Botterill from the Pittsburgh Penguins organization to be their GM. He was the assistant GM for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And he was the GM of Wilkes-Barre.
He was GM of Wilkes-Barre. He has ties to the areas. He played for the Rochester Amherst. He had to retire while he was a member of the team.
Too,
But while he was a member of the Amherst, I'm guessing got called back down. If I read correctly, he got hit, suffered a concussion, and that's what ended his career.
Yeah.
But so he has ties here. He had his press conference today.
Yep.
The day of recording, not the day that it's released. So he had his press conference,
Thursday,
and he was very adamant on mentioning building a winner, not just in Buffalo, but in Rochester, and kept using Rochester and referencing Rochester by name and talking about his ties here, which to me shows he gets it. He gets the culture here. He knows what hockey fans here want to see, and he's a proven winner. With Wilkes-Barre and everything like that. So that's got to be good. I know we've had talks about, the Amherst and their uncertainty and everything like that, which, by the way, the Amherst released 6 games that they're going to be in the Blue Cross Arena starting next season. So I'm guessing it's going to be another year-to-year kind of thing.
Yeah.
With them, but they're not going anywhere, which is a good thing.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
But I mean, that's as a Rochesterian, as an Amherst fan, that's got to get you pumped up to hear.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, you have to have a good AHL team. You have to have a team that is not only developing players, but is developing players under the same system you are running in an NHL. That's how Pittsburgh's been so successful all these years, especially the last couple of years, where Mike Sullivan was the coach. He was the guy that Botterill took to throw in Pittsburgh or into Wilkes-Barre, and he's like, I want this guy running our system because he can run our system here, but if need be, he could also be an NHL coach. He has the experience, he has the ability. We want this guy. So they got him. He was in Wilkes-Barre, doing great down there. And then, the need came to fire Mike Johnson, moved him up, and it was seamless because he plays that system, and the team plays that system, the organization plays that system. So what happens with that, though, is that Wilkes-Barre is good down in the minor leagues, and they're developing talent. And they're not just grabbing draft picks and then putting them out there and saying, save our franchise. These are guys that are allowed to play 2-3 years down in the minors. And Sullivan trusts those guys, and they got the call-up. And when they got the call-up, they weren't just like, oh, we're going to dress you. We'll dress you if we need you for an injury. We're going to keep you scratched or healthy. No, he puts them in, and he puts them in prominent positions. I mean, if you look at this season, this year, Connor Sheary and Jake Gensel are Sidney Crosby's wings. Sheary came up last year just before the playoffs when Sullivan came in, and Sheary was a postseason hero last year. He's not having the greatest postseason this year. But Jake Gensel is having a phenomenal postseason right now.
And to your point, and to the point that I believe you made as well when we were talking about the Amherst, very, very similar to football in a sense where you have a system in place.
Right.
Wilkes-Barre has the same system that the NHL Penguins have.
Yes.
So it was a seamless transition going up, down to up.
Right.
And that's what the organizations, this was the Sabres and the Amherst, do not have. They do not have that.
They don't prepare those guys to go up either.
They just throw them in there.
They get up, and then they're kind of usually a deer in headlights. And Pittsburgh's like, hey, come up here, and you're going to play with Sidney Crosby. And a lot of guys would like, oh, shit, I'm playing with Sidney Crosby. I better defer to Crosby all the time. Jake Gensel's not. Jake Gensel will take shots. He will score, and he will, he'll defer to Crosby if he thinks Crosby's open. He'll make that pass, but he doesn't make extra passes just to make it because he's got to appease, a superstar. I mean, the guy leads the NHL playoffs in goals, and he's a rookie. He has the most points by a Penguins rookie in franchise history, and he's only through 2 rounds.
That's a pretty good,
pretty good. And that was a guy who's playing in Wilkes-Barre,
right?
And it's not a guy that people were in the draft going, "Oh, we got to draft that Jake Gensel guy." But those are guys that are winning. Ryan Russ, guys are winning. You got to find those guys, and they've got to develop in Rochester. And when those guys are ready, they move in and they step into the big club.
Exactly.
And you need patience, and you need the ability to scout.
That's the thing that Buffalonians need to understand and need to have. I know they're desperate for any kind of playoff berth in any team that they have there. But for long-term sustained success for the Sabres, if they don't make the playoffs next season or the season after that, it's not really a bad thing, especially if, let's just say, the Amerks are making the playoffs in the AHL and it's continuous and whatever. You got to be patient with things like that. And that's what, again, the Penguins are a extremely perfect
model
example,
franchise.
A perfect
Chicago
example
is too. Chicago's had good AHL teams, and those guys come up and they play in Chicago. When you have organizations that are top heavy with superstars, you need to have a good AHL system because you're not going to be able to afford a lot of guys. So you're going to need to bring up that lower talent and develop that lower talent so that they can come in and fill in the holes that you need on the NHL level because you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room in the cap. You got Pittsburgh's got 4 guys actually, that are taking up a lot of their salary cap between Crosby, Malkin, which both guys are taking less than, they could get. I mean, they're both making $1.3 million a year less than Alex Ovechkin is. But they get it.
But those are guys that are that
they're guys that get it
for a long time. They've never been about the money.
Right. Chris Letang is taking a lot of money. He's their top defender. He's not even playing because he had a neck injury and he had to have surgery this year. And then Marc-Andre Fleury has a pretty big contract. But those guys take up a lot of the juice, but yet they still know how to fill those roles because of the guys they grabbed up from the AHL. Yesterday was a perfect example, too, of that talent stepping in a big moment. They were struggling with Hagelin and Kuhnhackl in the lineup. Took those guys out, put in Carter Rowney, and put in Eric Wilson. No, it's not. I'm getting the freaking idiot from Scott Wilson. Sorry. Idiot from the Capitals. Garbage can.
Okay.
They got Scott Wilson and Carter Rowney come in, and those guys provided a jolt. Wilson started a scoring chance. He had a fight with Orpik. Rowney played well. A lot of hits.
108-72 Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs are going to kill him. I knew they were going to.
Go ahead.
So those guys stepped in a Game 7, after they were sitting most of the series. And they came in and they contributed. And those are the kind of players Buffalo needs to build in Rochester.
Yeah.
And to give them sustained viability
I'm
in
excited.
the NHL.
I'm
excited too. I think the Amerks will be a good breeding ground, and within a couple of years, they should have a really solid AHL team. I mean, they were pretty good this year. They've got young talent.
Yeah.
They have the ability. They're just not. The problem with the last regime is that Bylsma and Murray were not on the same page. Bylsma is obsessed with the system. You got to play the system. Got to play the system. Got to play the system. So they spent a lot of time in the film room. Murray more as a why don't you get out there and just play kind of guy. So they're on the same page. So that's not going to help the franchise.
I have a feeling that everybody's going to be on the same page.
I don't think Buffalo's that far off from a playoff spot, from a wild card spot. If they don't make it next year, I would not be shocked to get them to get one of the 2 wild card spots the following year because one, they don't play in the Metro.
Okay.
They play in the Atlantic. True. The Atlantic is a much weaker division when it comes to that. They're going to be in a division with up-and-coming Toronto. Boston's kind of on that fence of whether they're going to be rebuilding or they're going to keep trying to reload. They've got some young talent, but they got some aging talent too. They got the Islanders. They're kind of, if they lose John Tavares, forget about it. That franchise is going back down the toilet. They've got Ottawa, who's in there right now. You got Montreal, who you can never tell. They are great in the regular season.
Ottawa's in there now, but when was the last time they were in there?
But they exactly. They got Guy Boucher running the system, and they play that boring-ass modified trap that they used to play in Tampa. It's boring hockey, but they're winning, but they're not going to, impress the hell out of anybody. So Buffalo can get in that mix. Toronto is probably going to be their toughest competition. Yeah. Babcock knows how to get those guys to play.
Toronto, I mean...
They took a step this year.
Yeah, they really did.
And they almost took out Washington.
They almost did. They punched it. Like I said a few weeks ago, they punched them right in the mouth.
Right. And 6 overtime games.
They had no clue what hit them, and then they barely squeaked by. Right. And I think that next year, if that situation happened again,
Crosby doesn't get hurt in Game 3, they probably sweep Washington.
Probably. But, talking about Toronto and their potential.
Yeah. Austin Matthews. Similar situation. Nazem Kadri.
Similar situation next season.
Yeah.
I bet you Toronto beats them.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think Toronto will be a wild card next year. They shouldn't even have been a wild card this year. All they had to do was win against the Columbus team that had nothing to play for.
True.
On the last game of the season, and they would have been a wild card.
True, Dizzle.
Or they wouldn't have been a wild card. They would have been the 3 seed.
For you Amerks fans out there, mark it on your calendars. Friday, October 14th, home opener.
Yeah, buddy.
Opponent TBD. All right, that's going to end the sports part there. Brandon, what do you got going on, my man? I keep grabbing this beer bottle like I'm casually drinking and talking, and this beer bottle's been empty for a goddamn almost an hour already.
That happened to me last night when I was watching the Pens game. I drank my first beer all the way through real fast to the second period, but I didn't want to get up to get another. I was glued to the TV. And I'm just sitting there with the beer, and I kept trying to drink it, and there was nothing in it each time. It was still empty. Yeah, just taking a break. NHL playoffs get back underway tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much of that game I'll watch because it's on late. It's in Anaheim, so it'll be on 10 o'clock.
You know what?
Which is garbage.
Yeah, it is, but
whatever. But I'll probably watch the Celtics tomorrow and whatever. But Saturday's when the Pens come back on.
Yep, Saturday's appointment television. I got
buddy.
For a Scotch ale for that one, but it might be gone before that, so I might have to get another fresh.
So
Scotch ale.
Getting through the work week,
Yep.
Rise and grind.
Yes, indeed. But,
what about you?
Well, aside from
any more bathroom excursions?
No more. We're giving a little break from that for now. The wife still has to pick the color for the walls. We're having a hard time trying to decide what we want, so she's gonna get the colors and whatever. And once we figure it out, I'll paint that. But that's not happening this weekend.
As long as it's not Seaside Pearl.
I've got Android web development in my courses now.
All right.
So I've kind of test developed 2 apps.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 little small apps. I know, right. Do this, and it's funny. Going complete nerd here. It's funny how much of it I can understand now.
Mm-hmm.
Last year at this time when I tried to develop a Gear Network app, I heard of Android Studio. Hey, download Android Studio. Okay,
right.
I downloaded it, opened it, had no effing idea what the hell I was looking at. No clue.
Is this in Chinese?
So this year, of course, having taken those 2 C++ classes, download it, bring it up. Okay, there's a couple of things I didn't really understand. Looked in the Google bots, figured it out, did a little more than I think that the instructor expected for the assignment, which was nice.
Nice.
So I'm really engaging myself
this time?
Into that class, huh?
Better instructor this time.
He's not a local, Brandon.
No, well they usually aren't.
I know, but he's my favorite kind of not local. So,
all right.
So, needless to say,
no more.
When we are having back and forth conversations, I end it with a smile because I have no idea what he just said, but it made me laugh. So, but yes, much better instructor this time. I'm really engaged in that class, and I feel that I could probably build a Gear Network app myself from that.
Yeah.
So after 8-9 more weeks. Might give it a shot, but aside from the schoolwork and all that crap, there's baseball this weekend with the kids. Finally, we get some.
It's gonna rain all weekend.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, at least I don't have to water the new grass then. So
next week it's supposed to be gorgeous, but this weekend it's supposed to rain.
It's gonna rain.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Ollie Williams.
Oh well. Rain. So then, beer, cigar, playoff hockey.
Yeah. That sounds like a good weekend.
That's all I got. So. We'll end it right there. Cue up the Johnny Be Good and end it this week. On the fly this week, Brandon. Had no idea. Didn't know what I was going to talk about. I think we did pretty good for ourselves.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, all right.
I didn't make fun of anybody.
No, you didn't. But
it's okay. On that.
It's okay. I'm still getting compliments for your rant from that fateful episode. Like, you've got cred in the wrestling community now.
I'm glad. I'm going to cash that in someday.
Maybe.
Get a guest appearance.
Thanks.
Go in, get thrown over a rope, and then walk out. I'll yell at him on the way out.
There we go. All right, so thanks everybody for tuning in to the Not Just Football Talk Weekly Podcast. And hey, thanks for tuning in and listening to Get Ready America earlier this week. We had one. Ha-ha! It was awesome.
Ooh.
So, yes, Mr. 2 podcast this week. So, yes.
Proud of you.
I feel great. But thanks for tuning in. And again, Mother's Day is coming up. Shopgear.com is your friend.
Yeah.
Brandon, let's do this again, shall we?
We shall. Not Wednesday.
Not Wednesday.
That's Game 3.
Game 3. So then maybe Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Fair enough. Good day to you, sir.
Good day to you as well.
So long, everybody. Good night now. The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.